How to stop feeling worthless. Hi everyone, Dan back here from The Geek Physique for another video. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. Step 1, you must improve. A lack of competence will lead to a lack of confidence. One of the best parts of being a man is you get to build yourself up, much like a video game character, right? And similar to a video game, you'll start with different strengths, different weaknesses. And you could call that talents or not having talents in some areas, but there's always room to improve. So look at it as a signal. It's a signal that there's work to be done on yourself. And if you frame it that way, it will empower you to take action because you'll feel like you can do something about it. And one of the best places to start, and I know this is what a lot of this channel is about, so I'm biased in saying this, but I think pretty much 99% of people would agree with what I'm about to say. Your body is your mind. One of the things that bothers me a little bit about the mental health movement that we have today, and just before I say this, I have spoken to multiple counselors over the years. I've had different struggles. Some of them were helpful, some of them weren't so helpful, and I know people have different feelings about that. But one of my biggest problems, and I've heard a lot of people say this online, is that people feel that they can kind of get help for their mental health without doing anything for their body, and almost like they're separate, right? And if you do stuff for your body, it makes you still will have a gap there. And honestly, I think there was genuinely a study recently. I saw, I think Modern Wisdom, they do, Chris does something, I think it's every Monday, where he shares like 3 different points of things that he's learned. And I think he spoke about a study which they found that the best form of an antidepressant was exercise, not going to see a counselor, interestingly enough. So my point is crucial here. Your body is your mind. And I know that when I started to improve my body, I almost instantly, in the first few weeks of being consistent, felt less worthless, because it's almost like you are keeping a promise to yourself first and foremost. And if you can keep promises to yourself, then you can keep promises that you give to other people. And that is something to admire and something to be proud of, which will help you stop feeling worthless, as well as giving you more energy to just do things and be active in the world. And it will teach you things like discipline, consistency, and show you how micro improvements can really help you in life, something I'm going to talk about a bit later. But it really is a great foundation to start from, and it will definitely help you on this journey. Step 2, find the right environment. You've probably heard the phrase, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I definitely think there is some truth to this, right? If you want to grow a business, or you do want to improve your health or something like that, you want to improve in some way, shape or form, it makes sense to at least consume some content or books or whatever it may be that will help you on that journey, right? Learning from people who have been there and done that. And even better than that is putting yourself in the right environment, around the right kinds of people. Having friends or getting to know people that are in better shape than you is probably going to help you on your journey to get into better shape. Similarly, if you have a friend who's grown their own business from the ground up, and they're now doing well with it, but they struggled, and all these things will help you learn from them and replicate it yourself. And it will just allow you to be a sponge and just take in all that good information. Now, what I would recommend, if you're not sure where to start, because something I've seen on other self-improvement videos is a question people often get is, I'm not surrounded by other people who are on that same journey, right? Maybe you're in a bad environment. And there is something that's powerful about that. I'm going to touch on this very quickly before my final point, which is the reverse role model idea. Again, something else I got from Modern Wisdom, which I very much resonated with this message, where having people around you throughout your life who you don't want to be like can be as powerful as being around people who you do want to be like, because you just do the opposite of what they do, the extreme opposite, right? So if they don't keep their promises, like I said at the start, right? You turn up to the gym every day, you can keep a promise to yourself. You're probably better keeping them with other people. But I know plenty of people who said, yeah, I'm going to be consistent with the gym, and they're not. And then they break common promises with other people. And there is a thread there of at least the only thing they're consistent with is not being consistent. But definitely think about your environment you're currently in. If you don't feel like it's serving you, figure out why and just do the opposite. If you're not sure where to start, which is often what a lot of people say, just do the opposite. And to give you an example of what I think is really helpful, especially for men, is to go to a fight gym. Honestly, they're some of the most respectful places I've ever been to. There's this misconception that people are super aggressive there and violent. For sure, you will get trained hard. For sure, they won't take, you getting upset over small things that you might think are big, like if you maybe do a bit of play sparring, in your first session. Again, if it's your first session, you're probably not going to be going really hard. But even if you do some sparring drills and the other person like accidentally hits you in the face or something, and because you're not in the best place mentally, or you've never been in that kind of environment, maybe it might bother you, they're going to harden you up for sure, which I think is a really good thing for all men to go through, because the world is hard, right? And if you're feeling worthless and you're finding that hard, it can be a really good shift of perspective to actually put yourself in a genuinely hard environment where someone is trying to hurt you or you're in actual danger. Then it really does put things into perspective. Like if after I've come back from sparring, I'll speak with my missus about it and say like, it really does, or I'll speak with friends, I'll say it to my family, everyone, like, what are you stressing about? Like, it's not like someone's trying to hurt you. And I think it's just a really good way of kind of taking the stress out of other parts of your life and letting go of these feelings of worthlessness or worry and just kind of getting stuff done. And then when something goes wrong, it doesn't affect you as much, which I know when I was in that place where I did feel worthless, right at the start of my kind of self-improvement journey, if you like, a lot of things would faze me. And even up until recent years, things would faze me a lot, which I think as a man, you need to be, you'll hear this word a lot online, stoic, right? But you need to be like a rock a lot of the time. That doesn't mean you can't show emotion ever, but it's conditioning yourself. It's hardening yourself up. And not only is it going to teach you that, it's obviously going to teach you how to fight, handle yourself, give you a lot of confidence. And I think a lot of men, they might not all admit it, but deep down there's just this air of, if you can handle yourself, there's just like a different thing about you, right? So, and by all means, I'm not a fighter. I've just been training Muay Thai on and off for the last 10 years. Really got back into it in the last few years. And I love it. And I love it for all these reasons. And I know it makes me a better man. And being in that environment with other people who are training, with people who are actually fighting, doing things like sparring, especially with people who are a lot better than you, it makes you better. And if you can get better in that environment, you can get better everywhere. Step 3, what can you offer? One of the problems with having poor mental health, which I've found is, and I heard Jordan Peterson I've heard him talk a lot about this, and I think it's spot on. You're focusing on yourself too much. that is one of the biggest issues with it, is you're in your own head constantly. You're worrying about things that are not going to happen. You're thinking like you're worrying about rejection. You're worried about trying and failing, and you just feel like, what's the point? And you're just going round and round and round in your head in negative feedback loops. And what I found when I've been in those situations is you're not doing anything. You're not taking any action. And you can see how some of the points I've already touched on tie into this already. But a really good way you can kind of snap yourself out of it is just asking yourself, what can you offer? And everybody can offer something, right? If you're measuring yourself against, people you see online or things you see on, some social media app, or, super famous people, or people who are really accomplished in a certain field of discipline or competence, then yeah, okay, you might not be able to offer as much as them, but you're always steps ahead of where you were maybe so many years ago. Like if you are coming from a background of struggle, if you are in an environment where there's not a lot of people you can model yourself from, and you're kind of doing that reverse model thing, role model thing I talked about, then just those ideas, right? Just saying, right, oh, okay, I kept the promise to myself, and I've been walking every day, I've been hitting my 10K steps, or whatever it is. Little things go a long way. And another cool thing you can ask yourself when you're trying to figure out the answer to this question is, what are you more interested in, things or people? Now, men by and large will generally be more interested in things, and ladies more interested in people. There's been studies that show the more equality the more equality there is in certain countries in the world, but based on their policies, the more the differences in interest show. Meaning, if you try and even everything out and give men and women the same opportunities across the board, they'll still sort themselves by and large into those categories of men doing things more interesting, men doing jobs associated with things, women doing jobs associated with people. Now, it might not even have to be a job for you, but just ask yourself that question and get involved in something. It doesn't have to be what you want your dream job to be or what you should be doing forever. But if you're not sure where to start, just volunteering somewhere. Okay, you might be more interested in things than people, but there's always places you can go and volunteer, and just giving back and serving other people. Or if you do find something you can improve, it will just take you out of yourself, give you a sense of meaning, and give you a sense of fulfillment that you're actually improving things in the world, be it in some kind of technology or improving someone's life, right? And I know when I was even at school, there was like a community service type thing where you could go to the local care home and volunteer there, right? It's just a really good, quick example. Or I've known people that have volunteered at soup kitchens, or if it's helping out someone with some kind of business thing and you're not really that skilled in it, maybe you do it for free to begin with, right? Find a way to serve. I think that's a really good a really good way to just get you out of yourself. Step 4, set smart goals. I've spoken about this a lot, and you'll probably hear me speak about it to death in this video and other videos. But you should set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And what that means in simple terms is, if you're trying to, let's say, lose fat, it probably, like what we recommend is losing about 1 pound to 2 pounds a week of your weight, right? And so you can use that to help you set a smart goal and say, well, in 12 weeks' time, I want to lose 12 to 24 pounds, right? I know it's realistic because the amount of weight loss is not absolutely massive. It's not drastic. It's going to be sustainable. It will mean that your calorie deficit isn't too low where, it's something that you absolutely hate whilst you're doing it. As long as you learn ways and strategies of getting in all the food you like eating with the calorie deficit that you need, then it's a smart goal. And it's very likely that you'll get there as long as you stay consistent with it. And the good thing about SMART goals is this seems very obvious, but they are actually achievable. One thing that I found when I felt worthless is I felt like I didn't have anything to offer, right? And when I started to move forward with, let's say, my fitness, or when I did start doing Muay Thai and I'm like, okay, I can throw a proper roundhouse kick now. Before, I was throwing it like when I used to do karate, flicking the leg out, right? Some of you who've done karate before and then transitioned to Muay Thai, you'll know exactly what I mean. But I remember that being a point of contention for me, and now I feel that my kicks are actually stronger than my punches, right? So, and that was something that I knew if I just turn up, even if it's just once a week to this class, it will improve, right? That's not as tangible as what a SMART goal should be, but it's just an example of where, okay, if I turn up every week, I know I'm going to improve, right? But more smart than that is actually tying it to a date, making it quantifiable. So it could be adding 10 kg to your bench press in so many weeks. It doesn't really matter. But another way you could do this as well, if you're not sure, if it's not maybe even a fitness goal, it could be more habit-based, which I think is a really good place for people to start if you're right at the beginning of your journey, and you could just say, right, I'm going to walk every day for 20 minutes a day or whatever. I know everyone says you need to do 10k steps a day, and people might be watching this going, wow, 20 minutes, that's nothing. But if you're in a really dark place, you're not leaving the house, you're not doing anything with yourself, it's better than where you were yesterday, right? So, and you say for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to do 20 minutes a day of walking, right? And you know if it's realistic based on how much time you have available for yourself, and you're giving yourself a deadline so that you can then celebrate that goal. Which brings me on to point number 5, which is celebrating your mini wins. This is absolutely crucial, guys. People get so caught up in when they are in that dark place of feeling worthless, or feeling like they have nothing to be like happy about, that nothing they've actually achieved, nothing to show for their life. And I genuinely remember what that felt like, especially when I was in my mid-teens, I would say, early to mid-teens. I just didn't feel like I had much to offer, or I'd achieved a lot at that point in my life. And I know some people might say, yeah, but that's quite young, you haven't achieved a lot. We're all at different stages of our journey, right? And that's when it dawned on me that I wanted to change. It could be that you're in your 20s or in your 30s or whenever it is. It could be later on in life. I believe that there is never a bad time to start, right? And going back to my point, once you have your SMART goals, as you're moving towards them, you want to celebrate little milestones along the way. So let's say you do want to lose 12 pounds in 12 weeks. Every month, you could say, right, okay, I've done 4 pounds this month. I'm right on track. This is amazing. Treat yourself with something. Get a nice massage, or get yourself some workout equipment if you're working out at home, or get yourself a gym membership if you haven't already joined the gym. Reward yourself with something that's going to be positive for your goals. And you know what? Even reward yourself with maybe a naughty meal out or something like that, right? Whatever it may be, genuinely celebrate your wins. Give yourself a reward to reinforce good behavior, right? A lot of people reward their bad behavior, and it reinforces that bad behavior over and over. And reward systems are not bad, right? Like, I've used this point in other videos, but when I was at university, I had to get my end of year report done alongside all my other work. And I only actually did 1 year at uni. It's a long story, but I was doing my 3rd year, and all of my friends were doing their 1st year. So all of them wanted to go out all the time. A lot of them, their 1st year didn't contribute to their end grade. So they just went ham, all of them, all the time. And I wanted to have a social life. I wanted to go gym, and I wanted to achieve a first, which I did in the end. But one of the ways I did that was micro wins and micro bits of work. And people used to rinse me for this all the time. Like, how are you able to get anything done in 10 minutes of work? I'm like, yeah, but it's 10 minutes more than if I didn't do anything. And oftentimes you just need to start. Like, people say this all the time in the gym. You just need to get yourself there. And it's like you're tricking yourself. Like, I heard Jay Waller, who's an amazing guy to follow. Like, he's killing it. I was talking about this in terms of fitness. Like sometimes he'll just go to the gym and say like, oh, I'm just going to like play with my phone for 5 minutes in the gym. And once he's there and he's got a pump on, it's on, right? And he's into it. It was a similar thing for me with my 10-minute rule studying, where I knew I'd probably do more than 10 minutes, but 10 minutes was the amount I've worked out that I would do it. I would go up to my room and do it. And then I would reward myself by chilling with the guys. So like the group of like guy mates I had at uni, like lived in the same block as me. They were on the ground floor. I was on the top floor. And it was helpful for me not living with them because I could separate myself, get this work done, but do my 10 minutes or probably more most of the time, chip away at that goal I had, and then reward myself along the way, which reinforced that good behavior. And it worked. And I've used this strategy in so many ways throughout my career, my 2 businesses, my IT business and this business as well. And just little and often with these things can be so powerful, but giving yourself rewards, I think it just keeps you on a good track. Right, guys, we've got one more step, which is my bonus step, and it's going to be a short one, which is never stop improving. It gives you meaning in your life. One thing I've seen more, I would say, in my career, especially more so, I would say, my IT career, I've met certain people that just kind of get a bit stagnant, right? Now, if you're happy where you are in life, fair enough. But what I've found is it's not necessarily the money, it's the feeling of improvement, right? It's like the never-ending goal. It's the game you can play forever. It's staying in business, right? It's taking on more and more challenges, keeping yourself stimulated, until your time is up. I think that is really what the meaning of life is, especially for a lot of men. And that could come in having a family, that could come in improving your career, whatever it is that you want to do. But I think you should push yourself to have bigger and bigger problems over time. And I've heard this saying, and it's something I can agree with, I think it's absolutely spot on. I couldn't agree with more, sorry, it's absolutely spot on, is you should judge a man by the size of his problems. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm just going to recap the steps, and I hope this has been really helpful for you guys. So step 1 was you must improve. Okay, a lack of competence will lead to a lack of confidence. Step 2 is find the right environment. Fight gyms are a great place to get yourself started for discipline, consistency, hardening yourself up mentally and physically. Step 3, what can you offer? Find a way to serve the world, be it by improving things or helping people, or or a mixture of the two. Step 4, set smart goals. Step 5, celebrate your mini wins on the way to those goals. And the bonus step, never stop improving. Now, there's probably going to be a video here or here, guys, so click those if you want to keep watching. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment below if you've got any questions or anything else you'd like me to cover and do videos on, and I'll see you in the next one.